podcast, our second book review, Rose. Very exciting times. We're whizzing through these.
Aren't we just? It's exciting.
That was a big sigh, Rose.
Sorry, you started just as I swallowed my mouthful of coffee.
Coffee at 5:30 in the evening. That's
Live on the edge. Live on the edge.
So welcome to the Bookends podcast. We are a review type podcast where we review books and have general discussions. It's our special episode where we spend a whole session dedicated to our book review because we've both finished our second book, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by
Toshikazu Kawagughi.
Excellent, Rose.
More prepared this week.
Yeah, brilliant. Rose?
So, yeah, I think it's important, and we actually forgot on our last main book review just to note that all opinions and thoughts on the book are purely just mine and Rob's, and they don't reflect anybody else's.
Yeah, you did remind me last time, but I did forget. So.
Yeah, that's fine, don't worry.
Yeah, so if we criticise a book, it is nothing personal to the author or to the audience that love it. It's just our opinion. And like we said at the first podcast, them writing a book is better than I could ever do. So hands off to you, even if it is a book that is not to our taste, which builds us nicely on our review of this book, Rose.
Yeah, and I think also on that, just quickly, when we do review, it'd be useful for people that are listening that have read it, if they have a different opinion. It'd be quite interesting to know what they've thought of it as well, or whether they agree with us, because I think I said in the last pod, this book is actually quite big on social media at the minute, and majority of the reviews have been quite good that I've seen. I've tried not to read much into it, but I guess
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, for us, I don't think we've really enjoyed it ourselves, have we?
And like you said about other people having different opinions, maybe if they've got a different perspective and see it from a different angle, they can educate us or open our minds to it. That'll be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was a smaller book which we were appreciative of after the lengthy Secret History. And as you spoke in the last pod, it's about a coffee shop, which automatically piqued our interest, didn't it, Rose? Because we love coffee.
Yes.
And it's about time travel, which we also love.
Yep.
And about the main themes of, so there's 4 chapters. Every chapter is another story in this world with different characters, where people can go back in time and see loved ones that have already been to the cafe, and well, with the caveat that they can't change the past. They can only spend probably 5 minutes with them, because if the coffee gets cold, then they get stuck there. They can't change the past no matter whatever they do. Go, Rose. Other rules.
It's an urban legend, isn't it? It's this cafe, small underground, I think, cafe in Japan, and there's a chair there that you can sit in. Only specific time of the day. I think there's only one time of the day that you can sit in it, where there's this woman sat in it the majority of the rest of the time, and it's only when she gets to go up to the toilet that you can sit there and have the opportunity to go back in time. But like Rob says, you can only go back in time to meet somebody that has been or will go to the same cafe, which limits it a lot. And then there's really strict rules on what you have to do. So when you do go back in time, you can't move from the chair, and you have to be back within the time it takes. So the coffee gets poured just before you go back, and you've got to be back by the time it gets cold, which, like you say, probably realistically gives you about 5 minutes.
Yeah. So the concept itself I didn't particularly like.
Do you know what? I thought I liked it until all the rules came in, and then I kind of didn't quite get the point of doing it.
Same,
which we can get back into, I guess, in a bit. But do you think it might be helpful just what you thought of the 4 stories themselves? Like, we don't need to go into it in too much detail, but I guess just to summarise the reasons why each person goes back in time in those 4 stories.
They were all full of tragedy and loss. Like, the one guy had dementia, the other one, her sister died in a car crash. They're all very sad, and I can see why people would want to go back in the past just to see their loved one again, which made me think about myself. Would I want to go back in the past and see a loved one, even for 5 minutes, if I couldn't change anything? And I thought initially, yes, I would. And then secondly, I thought, it's just going to make me really sad if I did that for 5 minutes. So I don't know if I would. Maybe that's kind of emotion that the author wants to evoke. But all very sad. And at the end of each story, they can't change anything. So nothing really did change, did it? No.
And I felt like the reasons for people going back in time were so cliche. Like, I just thought there were such obvious reasons. Like you say, for the first one, it's because of a relationship breakup. The second story was a husband that had Alzheimer's, and she went back to get a letter or something from him. The third one, the sister had died, like you said, in the car crash. And then the fourth one was a woman that is pregnant and knows that she'll die if she gives birth, so she does that and then goes forward in time to meet the daughter. So I just felt like, you said they're emotional stories, but for me, I felt that they were so obviously like forced emotive things that I didn't feel emotional with it. I felt like it's been so much forced down your throat that I just thought, this is just so cliche. It's not.
Yeah,
it was quite bland.
Because it was a shortish book, we didn't get to know the characters too much before they went into their into back in the time or future, so we didn't get that emotional connection. And what I was hoping by the second book that they would actually, so the second one, no, that's what guy with dementia, isn't it? But the third book is where the car crash happens. I wanted to see if maybe the sister did actually say, look, you're going to die in a car crash when you leave here. Like, just to test the theory and stuff, something a bit more gritty, and rather than everyone just agreeing to the principles of it and never really challenging it.
Yeah. I think that was something that made it quite flat for me, that it was just like, even the introductory of this urban legend just came out of nowhere. And even being told stuff, like being told the fact that if you sit here and you can go back in time, no one really reacted to it. It's just like, okay, then pour the coffee. I was thinking, hang on a minute, if that was me and someone said to me, Rose, if you sit here, this is what you're going to be capable of doing, you'd be thinking, are you joking? Like, surely this isn't. I don't know. I feel like there needed to be a bit more explanation or reaction to it. And it was just like, they were very robotic, the characters. And it was just almost like that we were already aware of the concept when we weren't.
Yeah. I did like the descriptions, though, in some of the chapters of how they made coffee. That was nice. They talked about their different styles and stuff. That was okay. But I think coming from the last book to this book, the contrast is massive. I was trying really hard not to compare too much because they're so different, but it was really difficult. I think it'd be really interesting if we could dip back to the time travel element in a minute, but I wonder whether we should quickly just go through our book rating. As you know, guys, we rate it based on 5 subcategories. And overall, we agree on a how do we say, a review between 0 and 5 stars or cups of coffee.
Because I think we agreed cups of coffee because
yes. Have you got the little pictures for that for our Instagram? The coffee.
I have. I'm going to try and find. I mean, I don't know how technical I can be, but if not, it'll be a coffee emoji. If you see a coffee emoji on Instagram, it's because I failed at anything further.
That sounds fun. But yeah, so our first subcategory, Rose, what is it?
It's plot.
Oh,
personally, I would say it's quite weak. I felt it was a little bit predictable topics to use for the time travel element.
Yeah, I mean, props for them. I mean, the concept was, in my opinion, a bit rubbish, but at least it was a concept.
Yeah, so I think it had promise. It had promise that could have been used a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. So at least it wasn't too, like, I don't know. It was original, shall we say? Even though it was a bit rubbish. Yeah. Original. Okay, so plot.
Average. Average. Our second one is writing style, and I feel. I think we're at a little bit of a loss with this because I have a feeling that I've read somewhere that the book may have been a translation. So I don't know if some of the writing style has perhaps been lost in that translation. So it may not be a fair.
Yeah.
It may not be a fair review of it, but I would say that I think it was quite poor. I didn't really like the writing style. It's very basic.
Yeah, but then, like you said, if it is a translation issue, then I guess we can't really rate that. It's unfair.
So third one was chapter length. So we included this because of the issue we had with our previous one.
See, although it was a smaller book, it was still 50 pages per chapter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd still say not the best. I'd rather it be smaller.
They were slightly broken up now and again by sort of a little picture of a coffee, but so I found that quite helpful that you could
And did you have the bit in the book where every time they opened the door it said clang dong?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was quite sweet at first, and then it got really annoying. And I just thought if I worked there, that would do my head in.
Yeah, me too. So, no, I didn't like the chapter length.
No, I think for a small book, it could have been, yeah. Engagement is our fourth. So did we feel engaged with the book?
No.
No. Sorry, yeah.
No, like you said, they didn't
Toshikazu,
explain.
it's not a good review.
They didn't explain the time travel concept very well, and there was no it wasn't like a big reveal, and no one was shocked by it all. It was just very. That coffee shop sounds depressing, and I felt depressed being in there.
I think the fact that it has no windows, and I don't even think it has no air conditioning. It's very dingy, and it gives
it smells nice though, full of coffee.
It does. And I guess that leads us quite. I imagine this is also going to be quite low for us, but overall excitement factor for us, not.
I think when I heard the concept, I got excited, and from after chapter 1, I thought, oh, okay, this might build on it, and there might, I don't know, it might be more to it. But because every chapter was individual, I lost excitement after the middle of chapter 2. I lost a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
Did you? When did you sort of check out mentally?
I think maybe before that. I'll admit I found that I was just skimming a lot of the book because it was quite repetitive as well, which I didn't like, especially the rules kept being repeated all the time. I was like, I get it, but you're still not explaining it, which wasn't helpful.
Yeah. So, okay, this leads to our final review, I guess.
Overall enjoyment, how many cups would we give it? So we gave Secret History 4.
I've been thinking about this a lot. Very sad. Obviously, we will never ever review. I'm going to say this now, Rose, and hope you agree. I will never ever give anyone a 0 star because that's like a block of wood. You know, it's like nothing. We have to give someone something.
Yes.
I'd be toying between 1 and 1.5 stars. What do you think?
Do you know what I was thinking? Can you rate half a cup of coffee?
Oh.
But no, as in I was thinking 1.5 myself.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking purely for my technical abilities, is it going to be easier to rate one cup of coffee?
That's unfair to the author.
1 plus a spoon of sugar. I don't know.
It gets a star because of the originality of the concept of the coffee shop and the time travel. That's original.
Yeah.
Does it get half star for anything else?
I don't know what I'd be giving it half star for, because the concept was nice, the setup was nice, but there wasn't an explanation. It was quite cliche. I didn't enjoy it.
Google search, Rose, as you know as well, would say that that the book teaches us the heartwarming lesson that no matter what difficulties people face, they will always have the strength to overcome them. It just takes heart. But did they overcome them? Did they really? I don't know.
I definitely didn't get that vibe from it at all. I didn't feel warm from it when I finished it. I was just glad to.
I think you've hit a good point there. So obviously, when they were telling us the story of the guy with Alzheimer's and all that, and the one woman whose sister died, we felt sad. And then we thought maybe go and see them. It would then give us hope and feel good afterwards. And they've gone on a bit of an emotional journey and they feel better, but they didn't ever feel better. Kind of, they're still in that sad state.
Yeah. So
it was very depressing, and no lessons were learned, I don't think. And this stuff about overcoming things just takes heart. I never felt that.
No, and I think that's the thing when I said about coming back to talk about time travel. For me, the whole function and the whole thing of having time travel and existing surely is to use it to change something, to learn from it, to change something in the course of your life or someone else's life. So I just think and to actually be active when you travel back or forward in time. For me, so I think if someone said to me I can go back in time, but I've got to stay exactly where you're sat and you've got 5 minutes, what is the
At least, like we'll talk about this in a bit with time travel. Like you said about changing things, and I disagree, but at least learning a different perspective about the events that happened. Whereas if they're still in that coffee shop, they can't.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not to change something, but for you to time travel, there's got to be a purpose for it. Otherwise, there's no.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw my neck on the line, Rose, and I'll say I would give it a 1 star then.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Not just to save your computer skills. You could do like a little, what are those small coffees called? Not an espresso. There's that fancy one with condensed milk. What's that one?
Cortado.
Ooh, look at you. That's the one. You could do a little cortado for a half one in the future.
They do a cortado emoji. Does that exist?
Oh, it's very technical now. Very technical. Question, Rose, about the book then.
Yes.
This is put you on the spot here, and I can't answer it, so I'll ask the question. Who do you think would enjoy this book? Who do you think it's aimed at, or what sort of audience would like this book?
Do you know what? I'm not really sure. I don't know whether I'd be intrigued to see what the original without it being translated, what it's like, whether there's more to it than what we got from it.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe people that aren't hugely into time travel, because they don't really go into it that much on here, or whether it's people that love the whole tug on your heartstring.
Yeah, I think it's more people that like not sob stories, but the more sad things in life. Or maybe the people that like a good urban legend, maybe, but I'd much rather read about Bigfoot or something.
Yeah, I really don't know who it's aimed at, but it's weird. I think it's a shame because it's huge on, as I say, it's big on social media. A lot of people are reading it, but it just goes to show, doesn't it? 'Cause a lot of people are saying it's really good, and we don't agree. So
yeah, we'll probably get loads of comments saying how ignorant we were and we missed a massive concept. But if we do, that's good. Give us some education and teach us,
Maybe we are cold and heartless, Rob.
Yeah. So Before the Coffee Gets Cold by
Toshikazu. You waited for me to put the book down. Yeah. Toshikazu Kawagughi.
We gave it a lovely 1 coffee cup out of 5. So Donna Tart, you're still up there at the top, and I think you'll be at the top for a long time.
I think so. We definitely started on a high. So
just because this book review wasn't as thorough as the last one, we've still got a bit of time, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about time travel, because we realised last week that we both absolutely love the concept of time travel, don't we? Absolutely. Good time travel film/books/TV shows, Rose? Any?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about this because obviously reading this one, and I was thinking about the books that I've read where the time travel element has really worked, and it's been really thought-provoking, and the books that stick with you. And I think that's why this one I felt was a bit of a letdown, because I was comparing it to that. But as soon as I see a time travel, I think, great, there's going to be a purpose for it. You're going to learn something from it. It's going to make you think, which this one didn't. But it did make me think of, there's this one time travel book called Replay by Ken Greenwood.
It's a good name for a very good name for a time travel book,
isn't it? And it's actually, it sums the book up really well. But in very short, I'm not going to go into it, but a guy dies on his 65th birthday, I think, at his desk at work. And then he wakes up when he's 17, and he basically just gets every chapter, if you like, he gets to relive his life again.
Ooh.
And as each time he comes back, he remembers like football games, he remembers the scores too, so then he can be really rich. But then it gets to a point where he gets to the day where he knows he's going to meet his wife, but because he knows that she's going to be his wife, he's quite cocky about it, which she then doesn't like. And then that changes everything, because then suddenly it's not his wife, his kids don't exist, his address and where he lives and where he works. And it's just one of those books that makes you think and realise that every decision in your life alters your direction of where you're going to go, who you're going to meet. So that
sounds great.
That's a good time travel, because that's something that makes you think.
Spoilers, everybody, but does the guy still die at 65?
So he dies every time at 65, regardless of what he does.
Oh, he goes back more than once?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So it's really interesting. But in addition to that, he meets a woman who's also having the same experience. So they agree to be meeting each time they come back. They agree to meet at a certain time. But neither of them know when it's going to be their last time.
That's good.
So it's almost like you get the opportunity to be reliving your life and how you would do it. So that's quite a good. So when I see time travel, that's the sort of stuff that I want from it. But this book was just a bit, don't introduce time travel if you're not going to do something with it.
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
What about you?
The book that sticks with me, and I'm trying to search for it now. Obviously, it didn't stick with me that much. It's about a woman who goes into a library, and there's 100 different paths she can take, and she tries each different path. It's really popular. I've just thought what it's called, Rose. It's called The Midnight Library. Very good book, but I can't remember it enough to talk about it. But it had some good. It was about a woman who she played out different elements of her life that could have happened in different strands, and seen how things were different, and they were different every time. Another good book, Rose, which is unquestionably the best Harry Potter book, and I'll fight anybody who says it isn't, with time travel, is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
I will personally fight you because I wouldn't agree, but it is a great. Obviously,
yeah.
I wouldn't argue with Harry Potter
Yes,
ever.
Reading the book was fantastic. Watching the film they did a good job, to be fair, but the book side of it, fantastic.
Yeah,
was good.
But again, the time travel with that works because something happens that it makes that worthwhile. It's worth doing. Whereas, again, linking it back to this book, just it doesn't work for me.
Oh, also film wise, the Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher, I believe, is quite good.
Ah, that is very good.
Yeah, is there a book on that?
I don't know actually if it's based on a book.
Oh,
but that's clever. I like I like the impact of it and things that make you think. But
yeah,
with this book, because you touched on it earlier and you said, but I don't think you actually answered your own question. But if you could go back in time, would you?
If there weren't so many rules about, all that in that book, I would definitely go back. Yeah, just to see things from a different perspective. Like, no, you can't change the past, because I was going to say the best ever time travel concept is in the TV show Lost, which is hands down the best TV show in the world, and they didn't all die at the end. I'll fight anybody who thinks they all died at the end. But they said that what happened. You can't change the past, but you can learn different perspectives on it. It's fine. So would I go back? Yeah, but I might get frustrated thinking, Rob, why are you doing this? You don't have to do it this way and all that. But it would probably be frustrating and probably quite sad seeing loved ones that you've never going to see again. But I probably would. Yeah. You?
I don't think I would. I think if I was, I think the only thing that I would want to do perhaps is to go back to watch. Again, we'll bring back the Harry Potter analogy here with the pensive. When you have the ability to go back to a memory and just witness it third party as an outsider, even if it's your memory, I think that would be helpful for me, because quite often I can be quite emotive and I'll remember things differently or think, did it happen how I thought it did? So that would be helpful to go back.
Yeah.
But I don't think, as difficult as things have been, or whatever it is in your life, I genuinely am one of these people that think that everything happens for a reason and everything that's meant to be is.
Yeah.
And I think when you get in these, as everyone does, you get in these situations where you think, oh, what if I'd have said that or hadn't said this? Would this have changed? But then I just think you act, react and respond to things at a moment based on the information that you have at the time and how you feel.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason for that. So I think if I was to go back in time to try and change someone's opinion or change something, I think then part of me would maybe thinking, is that only happened because I've done that?
Yeah. There's I was thinking about time travel again. There's a really good episode of The Simpsons Halloween special many years ago where he went the opposite way, where Homer goes in time and steps on a butterfly, and then in the future there's dinosaurs in the future and it all catastrophic. So that'd be too extreme. And that's totally not what you're on about, Rose.
I love that I went somewhere really deep then, and you were like Simpsons treading on a butterfly.
Yeah, that's too extreme where you can't step on a bug because it'll change everything.
But it's the same concept. It's something that has an impact on, and everything is as it should be. So I don't know. I think it'd be useful to go back.
But then, you know what, though? We've never murdered anybody.
Yet.
Had you accidentally murdered somebody, you probably would want to go back and change that.
I would, but then you have to. But then I think we're getting very philosophical here. But then I think, was that meant to happen? Was that person meant to have died then? And if they didn't, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange. And I bet, you know what? Fair play to author
Toshikazu Kawagughi
for even broaching the subject, because I reckon it's hard to even. I mean, in a TV show or film, it's probably hard, but in a book, it's probably very hard to even go on the whole time travel route. He didn't really delve into it much, but I bet it's very hard to make sense to the reader as well.
Yeah, I think it's because it's so subjective, isn't it? But I feel like the function of his book was just to tug on your heartstring, and but it didn't have the effect that I was hoping that it would, where it would make me question, literally, considering that question is on the front of the book. If you had the chance to go back, I thought that's what it was going to be.
Well, Rosie, if you ever want to get your author career or writing career in shape, just take that concept and run with it and do your own book.
Make my own coffee cafe with time travel.
Yeah, just make sure the coffee never goes cold.
Oh yeah, coffee.
But yeah, it was an interesting. It got us thinking, which is good. It wasn't just, at least it wasn't like a rom-com.
Well,
Wasn't four weddings and a funeral in the book, which is what we don't want.
That's very true. And I guess it was predictable in a sense, but the time travel element wasn't. I suppose I wouldn't have married the two and got what we did.
So before we talk about our new book that Rose has kindly chosen, I wanted to ask you, Rose, and put you on the spot again. How do you, not for the pod, but in general, how do you pick your next book? Is it random? Is there lots of thought to it?
Genuinely, no. My books I usually get in charity shops, so I literally just scout. It's my favourite place to be for books. I would just scout them, and if anything that I think looks reasonably interesting, I don't go on front covers, but I would just read the first page or so, and if it grips me, I'll take it.
Wow.
But with this, I found it difficult for me to get book club, because I have to research a book and you have to read a bit more about it to know if it's something that's going to be to our taste.
So if you've done that method, have you found, because I do the opposite method where I'd read like a few more reviews on it first. So you've done the opposite where you're just taking a bit of a punt. Have you been disappointed more than you have been?
No, actually the opposite. I think because as much as I guess I'm more reliant on reviews for this, because I've got no other. I haven't got the physical book to have a look at, but no, I actually quite like finding. I think I'll probably find more books that I wouldn't have got otherwise. And the other thing that I think with charity books is they're all pre-loved, so I think somebody's read it, and that's really nice. If I get a book in a charity shop that hasn't been read, I wouldn't pick it up, because I think it's been given away for a reason.
So the majority of the time, you're pleasantly surprised by how good the book is, rather than disappointed.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like the magic of books, man.
Yeah.
It's insane. I thought you'd be the opposite of that.
No, but that's the best thing. So you can go, and I know you can do it with a library or a bookshop and whatever, but you go into a charity shop and so often they're like $4 for £1. And like, what? That's ridiculous. I come out with 8. In fact, I think last time I went away, I came back with 15.
Do you not get like book overwhelmingness where you just
I
don't know where
love
to start?
I much prefer one of the best things, which probably shows how sad I am, but one of the best feelings I get is that I finish a book and then I can just sit in my bookshelf and think which one I'm going to do next. Like my worst thing is not having a next book to read.
Yeah.
Because then I feel lost and I think I need something. I always have to have a book on the go.
I bet you've got loads of bookshelves then.
I have. Although saying that, I'm very strict that when I finish a book, unless I'm going to reread it, I will give it to charity. So I'll always give my book. So I have a lot, but I don't have as much as you would think.
So you give some to charity. That's nice.
I give them back because I think if I've enjoyed it, I want someone else to enjoy it.
So you're not very shellfish then. Oh, that didn't really work.
Shellfish, I get it.
Bookshelf, yeah.
No, I like it. What do you do? How have you previously?
It would be, so if it's an author I like, I'd pre-order that book, like the Stephen King book. I'd probably, before the book club, I'd read reviews on it, what people thought.
Do you find that helpful?
No, not really. Not anymore. Because I found like if I read a book now that I haven't read the review on, then I'll read the book, then look at the reviews, and when people like slagging it off, or sorry, criticizing it, I'd be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, because that is not how I saw the book. Whereas if I read the review before reading the book, I wouldn't read the book because they'd put me off already. That makes any sense.
Yeah, it's weird with a book review because obviously they're really subjective, and I appreciate we could probably do a whole pod on this in itself, but they're people that I don't know, so I don't know why I judge, or why I trust their opinion anyway. But if it's somebody that I know and respect, like you've recommended a good book and I'm reading the series,
and respect me.
Well, I would say I do, but because I know you, and I know, do you know, like I feel like I would respect your review of a book. So if you were to recommend something to me, I'd trust that over a stranger of an internet saying it was 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
For Joe Blogs. So
yeah. And it's like with anything, isn't it? It's easy to be on the side of criticizing rather than praise. So there's so much criticism for any single book. If it doesn't hit with you well, there's a lot of snobbery out there, isn't there? Where people, and especially in the book community and in the film community, they're so easy to criticize and judge. And I think you just make your own opinions. Read it yourself, make your own opinion.
Well, I guess it all depends what people are going in to it for, or what their reason is, or what their background is, or what their expectations were. So which is why I think it's been really nice that a lot of hours we're going into blind as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry I haven't spoken much about the book review. There wasn't too much to say really. But we're gonna have these times, Rose, when they're not all gonna be Donna Tartt classics.
It's fine. Well, the thing is, when you have a book that's not so great, like this one, it at least opens up other discussions about the themes that are in it, and can we can talk about other books as well, which is always nice.
Absolutely. So please, before we end, then Rose, reveal our book number 3, chosen by
you. Yes. Again, this is one of the few that I think we've sort of semi-selected this one together, I would like to say.
Yes.
It's one that I've narrowed down, and I'm hoping you've got the author because I haven't got it to hand. So this one is called Never Let Me Go by
Kazuo Ishiguro. Very good. I'm looking forward to it. Again, don't know much about the concept, but it's our second Japanese author, right? Am I just... Hopefully they're both Japanese. They sound
possibly Japanese. They do, and not intentional. But yeah, this is one that hasn't. Again, we've deliberately not really looked into the book, but it's
where did you hear about this one, Rose?
This one was Goodreads, and I think what I did is, because of how much we liked Secret History, I kind of went on themes of that and tried to just find like similar books. But it's so difficult to find a book online, to pick.
Need to get another book that we like, otherwise people are going to start thinking like that we're Donna Tartt's like kids, and that we're sponsored by Donna Tartt.
Well, I'm quite intrigued because you said you've got a book in mind for the 4th. So
I've got 2 actually. 2.
Have you?
Yeah, very exciting.
I'm very excited. And if any of our listeners have got any book recommendations for us, please do let us know. So I'd like to get a list on the go, because it is a little bit daunting for us, isn't it, when we start finishing a book and then we think, crap, we need to find another one.
Or we choose one that we don't really like very much, and we realise that early on, and we think, we need to
Yeah, I know. I'd like a list that we can work our way through. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, it's been lovely speaking to you, Rose, as always.
Thank you.
Check out our socials and all that jazz. We've had a bit of a revamp.
We have, yeah.
We had a few artistic differences, but we'll see.
Less said on that, the better. Moving on.
Yeah, we'll see. But we'll tune in next week, everybody, to Bookends, where we're going to talk about, what's it called again?
Never Let Me Go.
Great, by that author. Brilliant. Okay, see you next week, everyone.
Bye.